Narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath. Decode the danger before it destroys you. Labels lie, but patterns scream the truth. We live in a culture obsessed with labeling everything: narcissist, psychopath, sociopath. We scroll through social media like we're detectives with a badge, trying to slap the right label on the people who have hurt us. But here's the real truth: labels are seductive, and they're also distracting. They give us the illusion of control, but while we're busy labeling, these manipulators are still out there, plotting, draining, destroying. The truth is, toxic people don't announce themselves with flashing warning signs or clinical checklists. They don't wear name tags that say, "Hi, I'm here to ruin your peace." No, they show up as lovers, friends, co-workers, family members. They hide behind charm, flattery, and smiles so wide they could swallow your soul whole. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already in the middle of the storm. So what do? You stop chasing the label and you start studying the pattern, because behavior doesn't lie. Behavior always tells the truth. Look past their words. Focus on their actions. When someone consistently makes you feel like you're not enough, when you're always the one apologizing, when you're constantly walking on emotional eggshells, you don't need to know what they are. You already know they're wrong for your life. There is power in simplicity. Don't complicate what your gut already knows. Toxic is toxic. Destructive is destructive. You don't need to be a therapist to recognize abuse. You just need to listen to your soul. If it's always in pain around this person, that's not confusion. That's clarity screaming at you. Here's the trap, though. We rationalize. We want to believe the best. We replay the good moments like a highlight reel, and in doing so, we minimize the damage. We say, but they're not always like this. That's exactly the point. The inconsistency is the manipulation. If someone poisons you only sometimes, would you still drink from that cup? You've got to stop gaslighting yourself. Stop trying to make sense of the senseless. There's a reason your anxiety spikes around them. There's a reason your confidence has plummeted. That's not a coincidence. That's cause and effect. It's time to trust what you feel more than what they say, and I'll tell you this: the moment you stop explaining away the pain, you step into power. Because when you stop trying to define them, you start redefining you. You take your focus off diagnosing their pathology and redirect it toward healing your peace. That's where transformation begins. But that takes courage, because breaking free from toxic patterns means breaking free from our own illusions. It means letting go of the fantasy that they'll change. It means grieving the hope that they'll become who we wanted them to be. That grief is real, but so is your freedom on the other side of it. And don't let the world tell you that you're being too harsh or too sensitive. The world doesn't live in your skin. The world doesn't feel the emotional knots you've had to untangle just to get through a day. Your lived experience is your authority. No one gets to override that. The patterns don't lie. Look at the way they respond when you set a boundary. Look at how they react when you express hurt. Do they own it? Or do they flip it? Do they apologize, or do they retaliate? That's not just personality. That's pathology. That's not someone who's wounded. That's someone who wounds others. And here's the harsh truth: sometimes the ones we love most are the ones who harm us the deepest. That doesn't mean you failed. That doesn't mean you deserved it. That means you've been in the presence of a master manipulator, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. That's the gift. Patterns are like fingerprints. They reveal everything. They tell you whether someone is safe or dangerous, trustworthy or deceptive, loving or strategic. And when you start paying attention to those patterns, you stop making excuses. You stop justifying bad behavior in the name of love. You reclaim your worth, because love isn't pain. Love isn't fear. Love doesn't make you second. Guess your sanity. That's not love. That's a weapon disguised as affection. And if you don't call it out, it will call the shots in your life forever. No more. So from this day forward, make a decision. You're done chasing clarity through confusion. You're done giving endless chances to people who weaponize your loyalty. You're done pretending not to see what's been screaming at you all along. Labels may lie, But patterns will always tell the truth. Watch them, learn from them, and then rise above them. They charm, disarm, then harm. It always starts like a fairy tale. The eye contact, the laughter, the way they seem to know exactly what to say, how to make you feel seen, heard, and alive again. They mirror your deepest desires like a reflection in a lake. And for a moment, it feels like destiny. But it's not. It's design, and every word, every gesture, every connection is carefully crafted to disarm you. That's not romance, it's a setup. They don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with your potential to feed them. Your warmth, your energy, your attention. It becomes their fuel. And when they've got enough of it, they turn, subtly at first, a backhanded compliment, a dismissive shrug, an unexpected silence, and suddenly, the person who once lit up at your presence begins to make you question your own. Because that's the game, to charm you into believing they're safe, then disarm you so completely that you forget how to protect yourself. They'll build you up just enough to enjoy the collapse, and when it happens, it's never their fault. It's always yours. They manipulate your empathy, twist your loyalty, and feed off your confusion like vultures circling something dying. What makes it worse is that it's not constant. It's not obvious. It's calculated inconsistency. That's their genius. A little love here, a little cruelty there. A compliment, then a cut. It's the emotional roller coaster that keeps you coming back for validation, for clarity, for closure. But here's the truth. They never intend to give it. You see, chaos is their control. If you're confused, you're easier to dominate. If you're desperate for their approval, they've got leverage. If you're trying to fix what they keep breaking, they've already won. And by the time you realize what's happening, your self-worth is bleeding out quietly on the floor. They don't just hurt you, they make you blame yourself for it. That's the evil genius behind their charm. You keep thinking if you were better, more loving, more patient, they'd stop. But this isn't about your flaws, it's about their strategy. They never wanted love. They wanted power disguised as affection. The harm isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the silence, the withdrawn affection, the sudden coldness, the way they act like your emotions are a burden. That's not love pulling away. That's manipulation tightening the leash. You chase, they run. You beg, they smirk. That dynamic isn't accidental, it's designed. And don't think you're weak for falling into it. You're human, you wanted connection. You wanted truth, and you believed what they showed you in the beginning. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes you compassionate. But now it's time to let your compassion evolve into clarity. Because once you know the pattern, you don't fall for it again. Here's the painful revelation. The charm was never about you. It was a mask they wore to access your life. You weren't chosen because you were weak. You were chosen because you're strong, you shine, you give, you believe, and that's exactly what they needed. Not to honor, but to exploit. But now you see, you can't unsee it. You know that love doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. It doesn't feel like apologizing for your needs. It doesn't feel like shrinking yourself to keep someone else stable. Love expands you, manipulation cages you, and if you're caged, it's time to break free. You don't owe them one more explanation, not one more chance, not one more piece of your peace. You gave them enough. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to reclaim your time, your worth, your soul. Let their silence echo into the distance as you rise louder than ever. Understand this. Their charm wasn't a compliment. It was a con. Their affection wasn't real. It was a tool. And their love wasn't truth. It was a transaction. You were never broken. You were baited, but that ends now, because you're not just waking up. You're rising. And when you rise, their power crumbles, because the one thing they never expect is for you to walk away, to rise stronger, to live free. That's your revolution. That's your revenge, not anger, not bitterness. Freedom. So remember this every time you miss the version they showed you at the start. That person never existed. What you loved was a lie, but what you're becoming, that's the truth, and it's unstoppable. Empathy is your superpower, and your kryptonite empathy. It's the fire in your soul that allows you to feel the pain of others, to love deeply, to forgive quickly, and to believe in the good even when others don't deserve it. It's your gift, but what no one tells you is that if you don't guard it, it becomes your greatest vulnerability, because predators love nothing more than an open heart with no fence around it. You see, the manipulator doesn't go after people who are cold or closed off. They target the kind-hearted, the soft-spirited, the soul, deep lovers who want to heal, help, and understand, because those people will give chance after chance. They will stay long after the damage has been done. And they will blame themselves for the pain inflicted by others. If that's you, hear me. It's not your fault, but it is now your fight. When your empathy is unprotected, you don't just feel for people, you bleed for them. You carry their pain as your own. You justify their behavior because you know they're broken. You try to love them into healing, to soothe the storm within them. But here's the hard truth. You can't heal someone who enjoys the destruction. You can't fix someone who isn't even trying. It becomes a cycle. They hurt you. You understand them, they harm you. You excuse them, they drain you, you fill them. And before you know it, you're exhausted, confused, emotionally bankrupt. And still telling yourself that maybe you just need to love them harder. That's not empathy. That's self-abandonment disguised as compassion. Empathy is powerful, but when it lacks boundaries, it becomes a magnet for manipulators. They see your heart, not to cherish it, but to control it. They see your patience as permission, your forgiveness as weakness. Your love as something they own, but your love is not theirs to take. It's yours to protect, and that's the shift. When you start protecting your empathy, you become unstoppable. You learn that saying no isn't unkind, it's survival. You realize that walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you finally care enough about yourself. You see that just because you understand someone's pain doesn't mean you have to endure their damage. There's a war between who you are and what you've tolerated. You were raised, taught, maybe even conditioned to put others first, to never give up on people, to always take the high road. But what if the high road leads you into hell? What if staying nice is what keeps you stuck? What if the very thing that makes you beautiful is what they've been using against you? This is your wake-up call. You don't have to stop being empathetic. You have to start being strategic. You don't have to close your heart. You have to fortify it. Real empathy doesn't mean allowing abuse. It means knowing when to walk away from it. It means feeling their pain without sacrificing your sanity. You're not cold for protecting yourself. You're not cruel for cutting off toxic people. You're not heartless for refusing to be hurt again. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. That's self-respect. That's what happens when you turn your empathy inward and realize you deserve the same love you keep giving away. The world needs your heart. It needs your compassion, your warmth, your light, but not when it's being used to fuel someone else's manipulation. Not when it's being twisted into a leash. You are not responsible for saving anyone who's determined to stay broken. You're only responsible for saving you, and here's where your real power begins. When you stop sacrificing yourself for people who wouldn't bleed a drop for you. When you realize you don't need to prove your goodness to someone who's already made up their mind to use you. When you understand that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You don't need to explain your boundaries to someone who's only going to weaponize your explanation. You don't need to feel guilty for leaving when staying was killing you. You don't need to convince a narcissist to treat you right. They already know how. They just don't care, and that's your cue to care more about yourself. Empathy doesn't mean keeping the door open to those who keep slamming it in your face. Empathy means knowing when enough is enough. When the price of peace becomes your pain, it's time to collect what's left of your soul and walk away from the war. You're not abandoning them. You're returning to you. So protect your empathy. Shield it with standards. Arm it with boundaries. And never again let your superpower become your downfall. Because the world needs your heart, but not in pieces. It needs you whole, fierce, awake, and that starts now. Gaslighting is their greatest weapon. Clarity is yours, gaslighting. It's not just a term, it's a full-blown psychological warfare tactic. And if you've ever felt like you were going crazy in a relationship, like your memories were up for debate, your emotions dismissed, your truth denied, you weren't losing your mind. You were being manipulated by a master of illusion. That's what gaslighting does. It strips you of your reality until their version becomes your prison. The most dangerous predators aren't the ones who attack you physically. They're the ones who hijack your perception, twist your emotions, and rewrite your story right in front of you. They convince you that you're too sensitive, too dramatic, that your gut instinct is wrong, that what you felt never happened. It's emotional theft. It's soul sabotage, and here's the insidious part. They don't start by denying the big things. No, they test the waters, they challenge small details, a tone you remember, a sentence you quoted, a look they gave, and when you question yourself once, they know you'll do it again. That's the crack they dig into. Until eventually, you no longer trust your own perception. That's when they win, when you stop speaking up, when you second guess every feeling, when you start apologizing for things you never even did wrong. That's not love. That's psychological conditioning. That's programming. You're not in a relationship. You're in a mind trap, and the longer you stay, the deeper it embeds. But let me tell you something. Clarity is your weapon. When gaslighting clouds your mind, clarity becomes your lifeline. That's why they try to confuse you. Because if you ever truly see them, their control collapses. They need you disoriented to keep you docile. They need you doubting yourself so you won't dare question them. So how do you break free? You anchor yourself in truth. You write things down. You document the facts. You record what they said. Because trust me, they'll deny it later. You put your truth in ink, in stone, in your soul. You remind yourself that your feelings are valid even if they try to twist them. You stop needing their permission to trust your own reality. Gaslighting is not just about manipulation. It's about erasing you piece by piece. Your memory, your confidence, your sense of direction. But every time you call it out, even if just in your mind, you reclaim a part of yourself. Every time you say, "No, I remember that clearly," you chip away at their control. And don't expect them to confess. Don't wait for the apology that's never coming. You can confront them with evidence and they'll still say you're imagining it. That's how far the delusion goes, because gaslighters don't seek resolution. They seek domination. Their goal isn't to fix things, their goal is to win. But this isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about waking up to the truth that you were never crazy, that your intuition was always trying to protect you, that the confusion you felt was a symptom of their control, not a flaw in your judgment. The fog you've been living in isn't your weakness. It's their weapon, and now you're walking out of it. You've got to rebuild your trust in yourself like a muscle. You start by believing your own eyes. You stop seeking validation from the person who's been poisoning your perception. You begin to speak your truth again, not for their understanding, but for your liberation. You were never meant to walk through life second, guessing your every move. You were never meant to ask for permission to feel. You were born with instincts, with clarity, with wisdom wired into your being. And that clarity doesn't need consensus. It just needs your courage, and once you see the pattern, once you recognize the gaslight for what it is, you'll never fall for it again. You'll hear the deflection, the denial, the spin, and you'll smile because now you know. Now you see, and when you can see clearly, you can finally choose freedom. So from this day forward, make a vow. No one gets to rewrite your truth. No one gets to edit your memories. No one gets to tell you how to feel. Your clarity is sacred. Your voice is powerful, and your reality, your unshakable, undeniable, unedited reality, is the key to your escape. Use it, speak it, live it. That's how you break the spell. Silence speaks louder than screams. Watch what they don't say. We live in a world obsessed with noise. The constant hum of social media, the chatter of opinions, the chaos of emotions. Everyone is screaming for attention. But in the midst of all this noise, there's a powerful truth that manipulative people know all too well. Silence speaks louder than scream. When you're dealing with a narcissist, a psychopath, or a sociopath, understand this. They don't need to scream to hurt you. Their silence is their weapon. It's the cold, calculated absence of words that leaves you wondering what went wrong. It's the withdrawal of affection that leaves you questioning your worth. It's the sudden, eerie quiet that makes you feel like you're losing your mind, like you're being erased without them even uttering a word. Silence is control. It's emotional withdrawal. It's a passive-aggressive tactic designed to make you beg for their approval, their attention, their validation. And the more you chase that validation, the more power you give them. They know exactly how to manipulate you through what they don't say. They know that when they withhold affection, when they go radio silent, you'll start questioning your every move, your every word. And that's the point. When they refuse to acknowledge your feelings, they're sending a message: you don't matter. When they give you the silent treatment, they're telling you that your worth is tied to their approval, and if they don't approve, you are nothing. It's a subtle, insidious form of control, and it's incredibly effective because it gets inside your mind. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking, maybe I'm being unreasonable. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. Maybe I deserve this silence, but here's what they don't understand. Silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of truth. The truth is that when someone chooses to ignore you, to shut you out, to leave you hanging in the emotional void, they're not making you feel small. They're showing you their true face. They're showing you that their love was conditional, that their affection was never real, and that your value was never about who you are. It was always about what you could give. Silence doesn't just hurt, it reveals. It exposes the truth of their manipulation. When they refuse to speak, when they refuse to engage, you begin to see them for who they truly are. And that's the breakthrough moment. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You begin to recognize that their silence wasn't about you. It was about them needing control over you. But now, you have a choice. You can break the silence. You can take back your power by no longer allowing their silence to dictate your emotions. You can stop chasing their approval, stop craving their attention, and stop giving them the power to make you feel invisible. Silence only has power over you when you let it. The moment you choose to stop running after their validation, their silence becomes nothing but a void. Void that you no longer fear. And when you stop reacting to their silence, you begin to see the truth of what they've been doing. You see how their silence was never about you. It was about them, about their inability to communicate, their lack of empathy, their desire to control. It's not you they're punishing with their silence. It's themselves. Because they've chosen to close the door to real connection, to real understanding. And once that door is closed, you can never walk through it again. So here's the power of silence. When they refuse to speak, you speak louder than ever. You don't have to shout, you don't have to beg, you don't have to chase. You speak with your actions, you speak with your boundaries, you speak with your strength, and eventually their silence will echo back at them as the hollow emptiness it always was. And this is where you find your true voice. When you stop trying to fill the silence with excuses, justifications, and apologies that aren't yours to give, you find the courage to stand in your own power. You find the clarity to walk away. You find the strength to say, I don't need your approval to be whole. The silence they've been using to manipulate you is the same silence that will set you free. Every time they refuse to engage, to apologize, to communicate, they're showing you that they're not capable of real love. Real love doesn't ignore. It doesn't withhold. It doesn't punish. Real love is present. It's warm, it's alive, and it's never silent. So, the next time they go silent, don't chase after them. Chase your own freedom. Don't seek their approval. Seek your own validation. The silence may hurt, but it will only hurt for as long as you let it. Because the moment you recognize it for what it is, the power shifts back into your hands. Now, silence will never again be a tool to control you. It will be the moment when you finally see clearly, when you finally step into your strength. And once you do, that silence will no longer have any power over you. You will have power over it. And that's the moment you reclaim your peace, your worth, and your future. The final breakthrough. Why letting go is the ultimate act of power, letting go. The two words that can feel like the hardest thing in the world when you're tangled in a web of manipulation, confusion, and emotional chaos. When you've invested years of your life, when you've given all that you have to someone who has taken and never truly given back, letting go feels like you're giving up. But I'm here to tell you something profound. Letting go is not defeat. Letting go is power. You've been taught that holding on is strength, that fighting for love, for connection, for the people who hurt you is a testament to your resilience. But let me be clear, holding on to something that is destroying you is not strength. It's self-sacrifice disguised as loyalty. It's the illusion that staying, enduring, and tolerating toxic behavior will eventually bring you the love you crave. But that's the lie. The truth is, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop loving. It doesn't mean you wish harm or hate on anyone. It means you are finally loving yourself enough to walk away from the destruction. It means you are choosing your peace, your sanity, your future over the chaos they've created in your life. And that is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. I know it feels impossible. I know it feels like you're walking into the unknown, like you're abandoning a dream, a hope, a life you thought you could have. But in reality, what you're doing is stepping into your own truth. You're choosing your own healing, your own future, and your own happiness. You are no longer allowing someone else's behavior to dictate your worth, your joy, or your destiny. Letting go means releasing the chains that have bound you to someone who never saw you, someone who never truly loved you, but only loved what they could take from you. And this is where it gets powerful. You are not defined by their rejection. You are not a reflection of their mistreatment. You are a reflection of your strength, your courage, your resilience, and once you realize that, you can finally let go. It's tempting to believe that if you just stay a little longer, if you just love a little harder, they'll change, but this is a lie. Change only happens when someone chooses to change, and most of the time, they won't. Narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths. They don't change because they don't think they need to. Their world is built around manipulation, control, and dominance, and you are not part of their vision of self-interest. But you are worth more than that. You are deserving of a love that is not conditional, a love that does not come with strings, demands, or emotional manipulation. You are deserving of a life where you are free from the chaos, free from the confusion, and free from the emotional warfare. Letting go is your freedom. It's also important to remember this. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. You don't have to justify your boundaries or defend your need for space. The only person you need to explain your actions to is you. The moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you begin to reclaim your power. Your peace is sacred, and you get to decide who is worthy of it. You've been through hell. You've endured the emotional roller coaster. You've fought battles in your mind, and you've weathered storms in your heart. But now, the final breakthrough is here. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're finally standing up for yourself. It means you're finally prioritizing your own well-being over their manipulation. Letting go is a radical act of self-respect. It's saying to yourself, I am worthy of something better. It's telling the universe, I choose myself. And once you do, the space you create in your life is filled with opportunity, possibility, and new beginnings. Your future is not behind you, it's in front of you, and that's where you're heading, towards the person you are meant to be. You might feel sadness, you might feel fear, you might even feel guilt, but don't mistake these emotions for weakness. They are simply signs of your humanity. Let yourself feel them, but don't let them hold you hostage. Feel them, then release them. And when you do, you'll see that the weight you've been carrying for so long is no longer yours to bear. You were never meant to carry someone else's pain, their toxicity, their drama. You are meant to rise. The beauty of letting go is that it opens you up to the possibility of a life that is truly yours. A life where you are not defined by someone else's dysfunction. A life where you don't need to constantly fight to be seen, heard, or loved. A life where your peace is non-negotiable. The hardest part is always the beginning. The first step of letting go feels like a leap into the unknown. But once you take that step, you'll realize that it was never about them. It was always about you, your healing, your growth, your future. Letting go means trusting that the universe has something better in store for you. It means believing that your worth is not tied to the approval or love of someone who couldn't recognize it. It means giving yourself permission to move forward into the life you deserve. A life of peace, joy, and true love. This is the final breakthrough. Letting go is not surrendering. It's stepping into your own power. It's choosing to live free, and in that freedom, you'll discover a version of yourself you never even knew existed. A version that is fierce, unstoppable, and ready to claim the life you deserve. And that, my friend, is the ultimate act of power. Reclaim your power and step into your freedom. You've been through the fire. You've faced the gaslighting, the manipulation, the silencing. You've been tested, pushed to your limits, and made to doubt your own worth. But I stand here today to tell you this. You are not the sum of their abuse. You are the fire that will rise from the ashes. Every narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath that tried to tear you down, to bend your mind, to control your heart, they have failed. Because today you are walking away from their hold. Today you are making the conscious choice to no longer be their victim. You are deciding that your peace, your joy, and your future are not negotiable anymore. And that, my friend, is your ultimate power. Letting go isn't giving up. It's taking back control of your life. It's saying, I am worthy of more. I am worthy of real love. I am worthy of respect, of peace, of freedom. It's understanding that you cannot change someone who does not want to change, but you have the power to change your own life. You have the ability to step away, to release the past, and to create a future where you are the author of your own destiny. Now, this is not an easy road. The path ahead will require strength, courage, and resilience. But I want you to remember this. You are not alone. You are not the first to walk through this darkness, and you certainly won't be the last. But you can choose to walk through it with your head held high, with your heart full of purpose, and with your mind anchored in the truth that you are worthy of everything good that is coming your way. From this moment on, refuse to be anyone's second choice. Refuse to live in the shadow of their toxic games. You are not defined by the people who tried to break you. You are defined by how you rise, by how you choose to reclaim your power, by how you choose to love yourself through it all. This is your time. This is your breakthrough. The moment you walk away, you step into a new version of yourself. The version that understands their worth, that no longer seeks validation from toxic sources, and that is ready to claim the happiness, peace, and love that you've always deserved. So stand tall, stand firm, and walk forward with the unshakable confidence that the best chapters of your life are still ahead of you. Your story is not over, it's just begun. And from this day forward, no one gets to write it but you. With that, you've ignited a fire within them, awakened their inner strength, and inspired them to take control of their own narrative. This is their call to action.